pleased today to be interviewing Lady Justice Anne Rafferty, who's had a long and distinguished career in the legal profession. She's currently one of the very few female appeal court judges, and for 39 years she's been married to His Honour Brian Barker, who was a former Recorder of London, and that made him the #1 judge at the Old Bailey. Together they have 3 surviving daughters. Tragically, their second daughter, Davi, died unexpectedly and very suddenly at the age of 2, and she had Down syndrome. Anne was pregnant at the time with their 3rd child. I noticed that Anne was a customer of ours, which I thought was really exciting because we were sending makeup to the Royal Courts of Justice. So I emailed her, asked her if she'd like to become an ambassador for us, and I got a delightful email back saying that she would really love to. So Anne, can you tell me what your job entails?
If a case has come to me, it's because one or other party is complaining that things didn't go well in the court below. And generally sitting with other judges, my job is to review what happened in the court below and work out, if we can, where the rights and the wrongs were, by and large. And that can happen in the criminal sphere or the civil or public and administrative law.
Tell me what you enjoy most about your job.
What I enjoy most about the job is very simple to express. It's the being with other people. It's being part of a team. And it's having other people's input into my conclusion. So if I'm unsure, I'll have people to talk to. If it's complicated, and generally it is, I've got other minds and we'll come together to reach a conclusion. And also I particularly like having people with me who help me along to a conclusion by quite often thinking completely differently from me. And I very much like that, and I like learning from it.
Tell me, is there anything about what you do that you don't enjoy particularly?
I could do with worrying less, but I would worry, I think, whatever I did. So I don't think that's particular to the job. There's nothing I don't enjoy about it. It's an honour to have it, and it's a privilege of which I'm very conscious. There's nothing about it that I don't enjoy. It's just that it is very hard, and sometimes the gravity of what I'm doing and the volume and the extent of it can have quite a compressing effect upon me.
And why did you go into the legal profession in the first place?
Because my mother told me to. I come from a family of head teachers. They're always confident they know what's best, and rather irritatingly they generally do, and they certainly did. So when I'd finished what would now be GCSEs and were then GCEs, she said helpfully, well, I think it's time to choose. You could read medicine or you could read law, but I think those are the choices. So as I was about to think between the two, she said, and if I may give you a tip, I think your arts are slightly stronger than your sciences, so I would suggest you read law and go to the bar. Fine. And that's what I did. There was no element of choice at all.
So do you have any regrets that that's the direction your life took?
No, none at all. I like puzzles, and the legal career I've had involves, insofar as you can, solving them. I'm quite sure I would have been entirely happy as a hospital consultant. You know, what is the matter? Solve the puzzle of the diagnosis. So I'm entirely content with the path down which I was sent. And as I said, head teachers are generally right. It's very, very annoying.
And you must have entered the legal profession in the 1970s, I think that's right. So did you encounter much or any sexism?
I'm sure there was sexism around, and I think I certainly was aware of it in perhaps not the usual sense, because I was in practice when sexual allegations were being made more readily and therefore being tried more frequently. And there was a developing understanding of the way that sort of complaint had to be handled. And there was a very distinct inclination on behalf of the prosecution to instruct a female barrister. I saw that one very clearly and was as astute as I could be within the rules to make sure I didn't get sucked into doing that work by and large to the exclusion of all else. Now, if you want to define that as sexism, yes. That apart, it is entirely possible that there was sexism in play that affected me, but if there were, I wasn't conscious of it.
Right. That's interesting. How do you think attitudes to women within the legal profession have changed in the time that you've been working within it?
I think the young professional woman today is much more likely to be celebrated for the breadth of her life. When I was coming up, the profession required the young woman to be scrupulously professional and understanding of the demands of motherhood, marriage, life, were met with less understanding than now they are. So I think that when I was coming along, if you had children, you continued to pay your chamber's rent, whether you were earning or not. There was no question of any understanding in that sense. And I think that young women now face a profession which has grasped that what it needs is the richness added to it by people of both genders who come from a vast variety of backgrounds. That was not the case when I was young.
So you alluded to it a little bit there. How did you combine your role as a barrister at the time when you had children with having 4 children in fairly quick succession, I think? So how did that work out for you?
It was hard. It was very hard indeed, and there's no point in pretending otherwise. It knocked me about a lot, and there were some uncomfortable choices too. I wanted all the girls to grow up knowing that they were very important. So there were many, many occasions when I didn't accept a brief because I knew it was things like the nativity play or the speech day. And to be professional, I could not expect a court not to sit that day so I could go. So there was only one way. It was just not to be working at that time, and that meant losing quite an amount of professional work. You paid your money, you took your choice, and my choice was to try and make sure that the girls were secure in the knowledge that they really, really mattered, and I took the knock in income.
And can you tell us what that terribly tragic sudden loss of your daughter Davina, what did that teach you, do you think?
I think that it taught me you never know. I walked out of the house that morning with a daughter, walked back the afternoon, she's gone. And I think that it's, for a start, I never tried to get over it. I just became used to it. But it informs my personal standards, I think. I want to be able to hold my head up, not just to other people, but to myself in the mirror and say I've behaved well. I've behaved generously and kindly, and I haven't schemed and I haven't connived because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's not that I worried so much about the safety of the other girls, it's that it somehow focused me on how important it is that those personal standards of behaviour and commitment prevail at all times. And I've thought about it a lot, as you can see from the readiness with which I answer your question. I've never discussed it quite so publicly before, but I am rather puzzled by why, upon analysis, it is that effect which it had upon me, because it's not what I would have expected.
Do you think it makes you a better judge?
I think it might make me a better judge. It undoubtedly has made me a less superficial person. So if the better judge you want is one who is a less superficial person, yes.
And tricky subject for some women. How do you feel about getting older, about the ageing process?
I don't mind about ageing in the sense of lines and wrinkles and stuff like that. I don't mind that at all. I've still got my own teeth and some hair. Fine. What I mind is that there are things I won't see and things I might not see. And you have to remember, I know what it's like to be taken by surprise. I know what it's like to face the fact that something won't happen, that I will see because it's gone, it's been taken away. And its blood cousin is ageing. Mm-hmm. And the older I get, the more I won't see.
And finally, I'd like to ask you about makeup. Do you enjoy applying makeup? And, you've obviously bought from us, so do you enjoy the process of putting makeup on?
It's not that I enjoy applying makeup. It's that I have eventually learned that given a choice, people will gravitate to the more attractive of the two or the less unpleasant. You like a nice railway station. You like walking around a gallery. You'll look at lovely fabric. Why wouldn't you? It's not therefore the case that I think I'm particularly attractive. It's just that if I can look less unattractive, that's a good thing. It's probably kinder to the populace at large, and it's certainly better for me. And one of the reasons I thought I was so lucky that you were prepared to have this conversation with me is that I think that, again, for the young professional woman, it's quite important that she realises you do not need to be perfect. You really don't. You've got what you've got. If we're talking about face and makeup, that's what you've got. The face, you can do your best with it. And it's exactly the same in career terms. You've got what you've got. It's what you do with it that matters. And I think in any walk of life, that applies.
Thank you, Anne, very much indeed. I really, really enjoyed talking to you.
It's been a great privilege. Thank you.